Hello, welcome to annual compliance. We are going to go over limited English proficiency or LEP. My name is Matthew Kruger. I work in the training department at Genesee Health System. If you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to call or email at the number and address listed right here, 810-424-6093 or training@genhs.org. All right, so what does it mean to be limited English proficient? Who is a limited English proficient person? Okay, somebody who does not speak English as a primary language or who may have a limited ability to read, speak, write, or understand English. Okay, that's limited English proficient or LEP. So we're going to go over what that means for us. What do we do as an agency or a provider to make sure that we're recognizing somebody in our community that may not speak English as a first language, they may not speak English at all. How do we reach out to them? How do we connect with them? And how do we provide good services to them? Okay, so we are legally mandated to make sure that we are doing those things. And so there's a few different details that are really important. Okay, we want to make sure that we're paying attention to that because we may receive money from the federal government, and that will make you or our agency legally obligated to provide LEP services. Okay, people need to know about us, and then once they begin services with us, we need to make sure that they have options and that we're doing a good job of providing interpretive services or even translating materials for them in a good manner. So who must comply? Anybody that receives money from the federal government. So that's GHS, GCHC, and any of our providers. Okay. Subrecipients, so entities that receive federal funding from one of the recipients listed above. So providers and contractors. Okay. All programs and operations of the federal government. Okay. This is Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. That's where this quote comes from. It says, "No person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Okay. Also, Executive Order number 13166. Okay. In August of 2000, this order improving access to services for persons with limited English proficiency was issued and directed federal agencies to A, publish guidance on how their recipients can provide access to LEP services, B, improve the language accessibility of their own programs, and C, break down language barriers by implementing consistent standards of language assistance across federal agencies and among all recipients of federal financial assistance. Okay, so you want to do a four-factor analysis. Think about it at four different levels. First, the number of proportion of LEP persons eligible to be served or likely to be encountered by the program or grantee recipient. This is typically done by looking at data from the census, so get some new information every time a census is completed. The frequency with which LEP individuals come in contact with the program, the nature and importance of the program, activity, or service provided by the program to people's lives. So we're working with people's health, their mental health, their physical health, and we know those are connected. So health is very important. The resources available to the grantee recipient and costs. Okay, so we want to be thinking about all this stuff as we come up with policy or shape how we're going to reach out and provide services to somebody who English may not be their first language or they may not speak English at all. Okay, some elements of an effective LEP policy, some things to kind of think about if you're writing the policy or updating the policy. Identifying LEP persons who need language assistance, and that doesn't mean identifying individual persons, but looking at the commonly spoken languages aside from English that are spoken in the community. Okay, specifically here in Genesee County, looking at census data and knowing who's in our community so that we can reach out in various different languages, both maybe on written material and advertisements and things like that. Identifying ways in which language assistance will be provided. As we go through these slides, you'll see a couple different options that we have here at GHS, and hopefully any other providers are coming up with multiple different ways to provide that assistance, because choice is very important for the people that we serve. Training staff, which is what we're doing now. Providing notice to LEP persons. And monitoring and updating LEP policies. So there's always new technology coming out, new services, new ways of helping. So we're always looking at new ways to provide good interpreting and translating services. So you'll see some kind of new stuff towards the end of this, some new technology and things that we're utilizing. Okay, oral interpretation services. So we typically contract with other agencies to provide that, but you'll see different ideas and ways of interpreting include bilingual staff. We don't really utilize that here at GHS or at the health center. We do utilize telephone interpreter lines though. Voices for Health is one that's based out of Grand Rapids that we utilize. So we've got a slide coming up all about that, how to access them. Written language services. Voices for Health also does translating of our materials. So when we do health fairs or we're doing any event in the community, we often take materials in several different languages. Those languages that we find that are most commonly spoken in our county besides English. Okay, we've got one kind of trifold that has, I think 4 or 5 different languages that's often taken out. And that just provides basic info about our agency, phone numbers, what hours we're open, how to access services, what exactly we do here, just so we can kind of get the ball rolling. And of course, it also mentions that interpreting services are provided at no cost to the consumer. Okay, and also community volunteers, not somebody that we have to provide interpreting services here, but maybe other organizations might. All right, so this info just kind of speaks to GHS and GCHC staff, some internal procedures here. How to request a phone interpreter. I mentioned Voices for Health. Okay, so what you want to do is just call the 1-800 number. It's a toll-free number, and you'll reach an operator first. Okay, so 3 is going to get you to that menu, the operator. They're going to ask you what language that you might need interpreted. If you're not sure, a great thing about Voices for Health is they have staff who are trained to kind of help identify if we don't know what language the person called in and is speaking. We can utilize one of their staff who might have a guess as to what language that it might be. Okay, if somebody walks in, they walk into GHS and they're greeted at the front desk. There is a Voices for Health board called the I Speak board, and there's a variety of different languages, and written out in those languages is I speak and then whatever language it might be. Okay, so it might be I speak Portuguese, I speak Spanish. Whatever that different language is, the person might be able to find their language and point to it on the board, and that's going to help us kind of streamline and get the ball rolling as we call in for an interpreter. Okay, it also mentions that interpreting services are provided at no cost right on that board. So the person knows as soon as they walk in that there's not going to be a fee for that. Okay, how to request a sign language interpreter. Internally, we have an email address that goes to a few different people. The reason for that group email is that somebody might be on vacation or on leave. So there's more than one person that's going to receive that request and make sure that it's fulfilled in a timely, efficient manner. So there's your email address right there. Interpreter requests at genhs.org. And they're going to need several different pieces of information, kind of common sense things that you might think to send over. I put together a list of it right here. Name of the consumer, the case number, date of appointment, time of appointment, including length. So not just the start time, but also the end time. Type of appointment. It might be quarterly review time or working with parents or a med clinic appointment, whatever it might be. Location of appointment might be here at the main building, or it might be in the family home, wherever it is. Put down a good address for them. Okay. Name of agency or building. When the interpreter is coming to the building, they might use that for their directions. Okay. Full address, including city. Special instructions for parking. Anything that's going to make it easier for that interpreter to find where they're going. Where the interpreter should check in upon arrival. So, it might be a certain floor, a certain receptionist. Just want to make it very streamlined and efficient and easy for that person. Okay, and then a contact. If the person gets lost or they can't find what floor they need to go to, we want to provide a contact person. So name and a cell phone number or front desk number for that person to contact in case of an emergency, or if there's a reschedule or a snow day or something like that. Any special requests. So if there's, for whatever reason, a certain dress code, a certain specific interpreter, go ahead and put that down at this bullet point. So you're going to provide all that information, and then you're going to email it to that email address. Okay. This is another option that we use here at Genesee Health System and also at the health center. And it's called Marty. And what Marty is it's a two-way interpreter. It uses video and audio, so the person can actually see the interpreter and the interpreter can see the person. So you'll see on the screen down there, it's ran through an iPad and it's on like a rolling cart. So it's kind of up at eye level. It has a ton of different cool features. You see that main screen that's pulled up on that iPad right there on that tablet is what you see as soon as you open up the app. Okay, so you see on there's ASL, Spanish, Arabic, Russian, and then all other languages. You hit the blue button and it calls into an operator. They ask, what language you might need, and they connect you. Okay, it's a really cool option, especially if somebody walks in. If you think about, somebody might need American Sign Language. They walk in, they don't have an appointment, but they're still very important, and we want to be able to connect and communicate with them. So it might take quite a while to get a sign language interpreter over in person, but with Marty, we can make that connection right away. You can hit the button and boom, there's your interpreter. Okay. And in case you're wondering what Marty stands for, it's My Accessible Real-Time Trusted Interpreter. Okay. Again, HIPAA approved. They have the certified medical interpreters, so these interpreters know all of the lingo and words that are typically used in the medical and mental health field. Okay, so really cool service. If you want to see one of the machines, there's one that's available for checkout at customer service. And then there's also Marty machines at several different access points in the agency and different programs. You know, at the health center, they have one at Access. Believe there might be one at the PSR Clubhouse. Okay, so they're kind of peppered throughout the agency at different points where there's a potential that it might be utilized or there's high use. But there's also one that can be checked out as well. So if you know ahead of time that it's something that you might need for a family or a person, connect with customer service, make an appointment to check it out, and go from there. Or if you'd like to just go down and see it, I'm sure customer service would be happy to show you what it looks like. But it's a really cool service, really cool way to kind of streamline and get speedy interpreting services. All right, if you have any questions, again, feel free to call us, feel free to email us, and we'll be happy to help out. Okay, that phone number is 810-424-6093 or training@genhs.org. All right, thank you for your time.